changes the narrative because he has the biggest microphone on earth. He can change world policy in 140 characters. So he throws people off of the set. Then that gives him time to work through his actual legislative agenda. We haven't talked at all about what's in the new tax cut plan and who's it's going to affect. We haven't talked at all about, well, why did Graham Cassidy fail? Because we've been talking about these cultural issues, and the media just loves a good race story. They sop it up. This like mother's milk to them. So he's brilliant in the way he does it. But I think this is a place where liberals and conservatives can actually come together, because if you look at the raw numbers, more white people get shot by the cops every year than black people. There are more cases of over-policing and brutality against white people than black people. So it's not a race issue. So if both sides just came together and said, well, let's address it, then you wouldn't have the overarching racial aspect to it. But by turning into a race issue, you get the conservative media on one side, the liberal media on one side, and they just butt heads instead of attacking the problem.
Yeah, and I guess my next question is, as we're talking to Robert Patillo, who is a conservative Democrat and a radio show host out of the Atlanta area, I guess my next question, following from what you said, is the divide too wide right now to even think about having coverage whereby you actually talk about issues and policy failures and policy initiatives and all this? It seems like we may be too far gone, at least at this point, to even start to do that.
Well, I don't think so, and that's why I'm glad that we've had the democratization of information through the internet. By having talk radio stations, by having internet podcasts and blogs, you can actually have deeper conversations than just the standard 60-second cable news back and forth. I'll go on Fox News every few weeks, and afterwards I'll have conservatives in my emailing me or mentioning me on Twitter, and they'll say, "You crazy liberal SOB, this and the other." But then after I go back and forth with them over a couple messages, we come to a place where we can understand. So it's just about getting the two sides to talk. It's almost like you're doing a divorce, where the two sides come in at loggerheads. But once you can start getting them talking, you can get to an agreement. You might not get them back together and back in love, but you can at least get to an agreement where they can split up the house, the property, and the kids.
Absolutely. Now, I know that you're a civil rights attorney in your real life, and just like me, I think every attorney wants to not be an attorney for their whole life, and they actually want to make a difference. Talk a bit about your talk radio show and how you're bringing this about in the Atlanta area. By the way, folks, if you're in the Atlanta area and you're listening to CBS Radio and WAOK AM 1380 from 1 to 4, you can check out Robert's show. Tell everybody what they can expect from hearing from you on your show.
Well, it's a very fair-sided conversation. We will have everything from Pan-African black nationalists to the Ku Klux Klan on, depending on the week. I call it a conversation, not confrontation. So I don't come in with an agenda. It's more so about just presenting every aspect of a discussion and letting the listener make up their own mind about it. I'm not here to shove my opinion down your throat. I want to give you enough information where you can make an informed decision.
That's so adult of you. I don't know if I can talk to you anymore. You're being too much of an adult right now. No, but you know what? It's a goal of our show as well. I always tell people, don't take my word for it. Here's the information you can look up yourself, and you make your own decision on it. I think that's a very mature thing, and it's very rare to see, not only in talk radio, but just in politics in general lately. And I'm very glad to... Listen, I'm agreeing with a conservative Democrat on my own radio show. What is the world coming to, Robert?
Well, the interesting thing is, I grew up in South Georgia in a little town called Waverly Hall. So you have the black people on one side of town, and you have the conservative white folks on the other side of town. We go to church together, we go to school together, we fish together, we listen to the same music, we go to the same parks, do all the same things, and the only thing that we disagree on is politics. And so as long as we allow the political system to create these divisions and disagreements, that's how the upper ruling oligarchical classes are able to keep us down, to keep us poor folks snipping and fighting at each other while they run off with all the money. So I think when we bridge that divide, we're going to see real changes in the country, because the same problems with the white working class are the same problems with the urban black people who also have the same economic anxiety. I'm so happy to hear you say things like this, and I think we need more people like you, Robert, saying things like this.
a lot of the issues today know no color, and they don't know partisanship. And they're all issues that we all need to face together. And I'm glad to find a partner on the other side that I can be able to talk to more often about this.
Anytime, I'm always here for you.
Well, listen, everybody, check out Robert's show. If even if you're not in the Atlanta area, find the live stream for WAOK AM 1380 from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Robert gives listeners a no-nonsense commentary, as you can hear, and discusses many of the prevailing issues. Check him out on the interwebs as well, on Facebook, / Robert Patillo. Patillo, I keep trying to make you Spanish. I keep doing that. I gotta stop doing that. On Twitter, there you go. On Twitter, at Robert Patillo, and also on Instagram, the same. And you can check him out on the YouTubes. Jobs, Justice, and Dreams. He doesn't have a face of radio, folks. He's actually quite a good-looking guy, if I may say so. Robert Patillo, thanks so much for coming on. And listen, I want to definitely continue the discussion with you, not only on, as an attorney and a professional level, but on a personal level, man, you're cool as hell. Thanks so much for coming on.
All right, thanks for having me.
Hey folks, I just want to let you know about a great opportunity for listeners of Behind Enemy Lines Radio. If you go to our website, www.behindenemylines.radio.us, and click on the same box ad on the right side of the page, you will get a great opportunity for a discounted offer to join SaneBox. SaneBox filters out all the unimportant email from your inbox so that you can really focus on what matters. If you're anything like me, folks, you get hundreds of pieces of email a day, not many of which is important. SaneBox's smart filter will get everything you need to fly through your inbox and finally make email work for you. It gets rid of spam emails, it deprioritizes emails that aren't as important to you, and it helps you unsubscribe from mailing lists and individual senders with ease. So again, go to www.behindenemylinesradio.us and you click on the SaneBox ad and you'll be given an exclusive offer you won't find anywhere else. Time for a little music. We call this, What the F*** is Maxine Waters Saying?
To be clear, you believe it would have been better to keep in place an FBI director who you said had no credibility to oversee this investigation than to find someone who you think would be a better choice?
No. But I believe the president thought that. Don't forget. You're talking about what some Democrats said, what I said, but don't forget, he was the president. The president supported him. He had confidence in him. It was within his power. And
but you said he had no credibility, so it would seem to make sense that he should get rid of him.
No. Under investigation, this president basically has interfered with an investigation where he may be implicated. That's outrageous, and that's why we're having so much of a conversation about it today.
The bottom line is that you think an FBI director without credibility would have been best served in this position to try to pursue this investigation.
I think if the president had fired him when he first came in, he would not have to be in a position now where he's trying to make up a story about why it does not meet the smell test.
Yeah. Something smells all right.
Understood. So if Hillary Clinton had won the White House, would you have recommended that she fire FBI Director James Comey?
Well, let me tell you something. If she had won the White House, I believe that given what he did to her and what he tried to do, she should have fired him.
So she should have fired him, but he shouldn't have fired him. This is why I'm confused.
No, you're not confused.
Yes I am. Gene Baradelli, back behind enemy lines. Hey, in case you haven't noticed, we have a brand new time where we broadcast now. We're on Talk America Radio on Tuesdays at midnight now. Great new time slot for us. We really appreciate Talk America Radio accommodating us for that. And you know what? Let's go through the credits right now. Thanks for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. I'm Gene. Russ Gallo will be back with us next week as we start our new broadcasting schedule. And you can always check us out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, which we're going to be doing live on the weekends, it's going to be on Sundays now, check us out on any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WJHC 107.5 FM in beautiful Jasper, Florida. WDDQ Let's Talk 92.1 FM, Adele, Georgia. WLBB News Talk 1330 AM, Carrollton, Georgia. All part of the Talk America Radio Network. So proud to be part of that network with that great group of people. You can also check us out at KLRN Radio. Also check us out at High Plains Talk Radio, Sackheads Media, ICRN, the Internet's conservative radio network, which powers the Talk America Radio Network. Easy for me to say. And, of course, Lanterns Radio. Check them out on the webs at lanterns.buzz. Again, I love that website so much. But if you miss any of our rebroadcasts, don't worry. Not a problem. We forgive you. You can always check us out as a podcast. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Player FM, Podbay, TuneIn. You can check us out on Auto Radio, which is a project of Sirius XM satellite radio. You can check us out on Google Play Music. Discover us there. SoundCloud, of course. And the mighty iHeartRadio Network. I think Player FM as well. You throw that in there. So many different outlets you can find us on. Check them all out. Check out the show any which way you can. We love that you do it. A little bit is, like I said, programming note. Tuesdays at midnight from now on our broadcast on the terrestrials, which is awesome. We also want to extend our congratulations to the Majority Report. Yes, once again, we are the bridesmaid and not the bride with the podcast awards. Our second time around, we indeed, did a great job, and I want to thank all our listeners for supporting us in that endeavor. Even though it's something we didn't really push for, you guys put us into it, which was phenomenal. Thank you so much for that. But congratulations to the Majority Report. Yes, they're a left-leaning show, but we forgive them for that. Another great win for them. I think it's now 5 times they've won this award. For the podcast awards. So congratulations to them, and all the best to all the nominees, and all the winners of the podcast awards. We'll see you again next year, hopefully. So right now, let's do some quick hits. Some news stories that we followed here behind enemy lines that has made news, but you didn't know about it because of this whole NFL protest thing that has engulfed all of our lives for the past 2 weeks or so. So the first thing we need to talk about is our perennial buffoon of the year, who actually won last year, Anthony Weiner. Well, he's off to the pokey, folks. Finally sentenced for federal charges of, I don't even know what they were, but they were of a sexual nature with a minor at this point for exchanging photos and messages with a 15-year-old. Going to jail for 21 months. Was sentenced recently. Was sobbing in court because he was hoping to get off with no time whatsoever. And, well, I guess that's the end of that sad, sordid chapter of U.S. political history and political history in the People's Republic of New York City. Anthony Weiner, we knew too much about you, and now, I guess, prison is going to find out a lot more about you. Don't drop the soap, homie. Another issue we've been talking about behind enemy lines that the mainstream media hasn't really talked about is the kangaroo courts that have been pervasive on campus when it comes to accusations of sexual misconduct by college students are now no more. Thanks to Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos, the 2011 memo that we talked about with Michelle Harris a couple months ago has now been rescinded, and these kangaroo courts where colleges and campuses and universities do not afford due process towards people who are accused of misconduct. And we're talking about people, we're talking about teenage boys accused of sexual misconduct. Some for reasons that would be so innocuous, like leaning in for a kiss that was unwanted and then being brought up on charges and possibly expelled for it. And we talked with attorney Michelle Harris about this as well. That memo has now been rescinded, so goodbye to the era of the Obama kangaroo courts on campus. And speaking about on-campus activities, if you've been following these issues with free speech and on Berkeley and all these other places, it's like people have lost common sense. Our next generation has now been inundated with a generation of liberal ideas. Everybody gets a participation trophy. Everybody is special little snowflakes that demand, to be treated of equal and highest value possible.